What we have here is the Citizen Promaster. It's a pretty old watch. I believe it's from the 1980s. It could be 90s. You can see the crystal's in pretty bad shape, and the movement's not working, and it is missing the bezel. So, Citizen Watch Company, 200 meter water resistant, made in Japan. It is a, where is it? 5502. The F50336, I guess, is the case. GN-4-S, stainless steel. Excuse me. It has a locking screw down crown with crown guards. It has a really neat face. What's interesting about this watch is it's not an easy watch to find. There are a few on eBay, and the ones on eBay right now are very expensive. There's a couple in Japan that are available. They're used, and they are over $500. There's one that's in pretty decent shape used for around $250. This watch belongs to my pal Chad. You guys might remember Chad. He's the guy that gave me this Seiko here. I got it from him in a trade. And you can see the condition of this. Pretty beat up. He wore this every day in his shop and really beats on his watches. He's wearing a Rolex in his shop now in the Seiko Captain Willard, the reissue, you know, the $1,100 version. And he just is rough on watches. So he took this out while I was over his pad. I was like, dude, let me see what I could do to get this thing working again. And I brought over to the watch shop. We took the battery out. Unfortunately, you know what? Let's open this up and I'll show you. There we go. Somebody asked me about a watch tool. This came in a cheap set of watch tools, a kit off Amazon. I think it was less than $30 for the whole kit of tools, which is right here. Cheap stuff, but it works. Now, I brought this over to the watch shop, as I was saying, and hang on here. All right, doing this all through the camera here, and I'm trying a different setup today, so there we go. The battery was corroded in here, and a cloud of dust just flew out of it, and this movement is shot. They cleaned it up a little bit, trying to make something work over at the shop, but the movement's just gone. Now, probably some usable parts in the movement, right? I just wanted to show that to you. So I started looking for the movement, and the thing about this particular watch is that's neat about it is this dial and this handset. It's a day date, as you can see. It has the military arrow on there. You'll see mostly on British stuff. Now, what I did was I started looking around, and I ended up stumbling upon a watch. It was in Europe. And this is it here. And this one has a working movement. It is the same movement. The 5502. Now, we could see, let's just double check something with the case numbers. F5034. And this one is the F50336. So there is a difference between these two. One thing I can tell is I feel like this one here on the right, Chad's, is thicker. But that's at the crystal. And so what I did was I popped this off. And you can see here that the crystal on Chad's version is thicker. I tried putting the bezel on this, and it'll go on, but I can't get it to spin, which is a bummer. But the plan now is to bring this over to the shop. Now, this was sold saying that the wheel, the date wheel, had a problem. It's a locking crown, so we'll unscrew this. It pops. It has hacking. I can adjust the time this way. You see that? Now, it happens to be Saturday, the 23rd, so it's on the right date, but it doesn't want to adjust. And he said there was a problem with adjusting the date wheel. I talked to Mike over at Majestic Watch and Jewelry, and I told him that this watch was out there, and he told me to go ahead and pick it up because he thinks that we'll probably get lucky. And the idea here is to take the movement out of this watch and put it into this one. And it's because the same movement, we know it's going to work with the hour, minute, and second hands. We'll work on the post on this watch. I was hoping that this was going to be all the same because even though Chad says he likes this watch with all the scratches, which makes it almost impossible to read the dial. You can see the time, but look at this. I was hoping we could use it in this case and with the bezel and everything, and he'd be happier, but it's really up to Chad. What I'd really like to do, Chad, if you're watching this, is not try to make this super clean. Some of these deep scratches would take a lot of work, but because this crystal is so thick, man, you can polish anything if you have the proper stuff. And because it's a flat crystal, I think with sandpapers, you could get this really clean and polish that up. And I'd like to try that. But the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring this over to the watch shop and swap the movements, make this work. And that's it's a little Christmas present I'm doing for Chad. Because this watch did cost me a bit of money with the shipping and everything. I think it was like $150 or something. Chad's always hooking me up, so I don't mind. There's a little spring in here. It pops right out. Kind of have to lift these a little bit at a time here. There we go. Now, just want to point out here, you see that the holes on the case where the bezel insert, where the bezel snaps in, are in the exact same place on both watches. So I already did this once. There we go. That's in place. And then this does kind of snap down on here. It sure does look better. The thing, oh, it is working. I did this earlier and it got stuck. I thought that the crystal was too thick. Maybe the bezel isn't snapped down all the way. Maybe that's what's going on. No, it seems like it's okay. Look at that. Hey, Chad, check that out, brother. We're golden. Let's get your movement in here. Let's pop this bezel on here. And you let me know what you think. I'd like to play with it as an experience. You could do this yourself, man. You pop the bezel off, tape out the movement. Or excuse me, tape out the case a little bit. And honestly, I think putting this on a flat surface, again, let's just pop this off real quick. You want to be careful with these and not pry up on them too hard because you'll bend it. I mean, you could bend it all back, but take it easy. So yeah, if you were to just put this on a flat surface and polish that with very fine grits and then use a rouge, I think you can make it look pretty good, and you can leave enough of the scratches there to you know, keep your patina, but actually be able to read the dial. And you can see, like, these versions are more affordable with this particular watch dial. You can see it's missing the number 6 indice down there. But this is much better looking and more legible. And I'll show you something else real quick. Hold on. Got my blue light here. And you can see this thing wants to light up with the Lume. However, it doesn't hold the charge. And that's a little bit of a bummer, but that's kind of common with some of these older watches. It's interesting. I have a Seiko from 1990, and they used a particular, they weren't using the Lume on it at that moment in time. For whatever reason, that watch, they went off the Lume, and it does exactly this. You take it off and it just fades almost instantly. Typical Seiko, you guys know. You light this sucker up and it's going to just glow for quite sometime, and that's what they're famous for. Interestingly, I have some Seikos that are older where the Lume seems to want to last longer. So I don't know if they did an experiment in 1990 or what, but just kind of odd. But I suspect that's what's going on here. But it's nice because at least you can hit it and see it. It's just a bummer it doesn't really want to hold the charge. At any rate, I want to get this to Chad. This is a watch he wore in high school. So I think it'll be like a fun little project that's relatively simple. And I'm hoping that, well, let's try this real quick before I try to sign out of here. I also want to show you something else real quick. So we'll pop this out. We could see that we can set the time. That's not a problem. Let's see. Okay. Well, that's cool too. He's got the Japanese. He's got Japanese and English. What about the numbers? Okay, so the number, I can feel something clicking in here. So I'm just hoping that this is an easy fix, that Vartan or Mike over at Majestic, they could swap the movements, and between the parts with both of these, they can make the date wheel adjust correctly. And then, Chad, you can have your high school watch back. But again, I think it would be fun to experiment with polishing this crystal, because I do think you could make it better, because this is friggin' horrendous. But that's up to you, man. You tell me. And at the very least, this will be running. We can get this thing running. We could pop the bezel on it and make it look like, well, at least have it complete. Now, I just wanted to point out one other thing here. Some of you may remember, I've mentioned this before. This is a watch I took a chance on eBay. This is a nice vintage Seiko from the 80s. It's a ladies diver. Oh, hang on one second. Just want to get a little more light on the subject there. So it's an overcast day. We're going to get some weather here in LA. At any rate, I took the chance on this, and when it got here, it didn't work. I went over there, thought it just needed a battery replacement, but the coil, the condenser coil maybe, it was broken. Somebody broke it when trying to replace the battery. And I didn't pay a lot of money for this. I've been over this before. I think I got this whole watch for less than $50 shipped. If you look for these on eBay, you will see these for several $100s typically when they're in this good a condition. This is very good condition, this watch, with the original bracelet. Oh, maybe it's not. It doesn't say Seiko on there. I'm pretty sure it did somewhere. Oh, look at that. That is not a Seiko bracelet. At any rate, nice, nifty watch. What I did was I found this watch. It was in Vietnam, and with shipping and everything, I believe it was less than $30 or around there. I think it was 26 bucks for the watch, plus whatever the shipping was. And so for less than $100, I ended up with a nice watch. What I noticed in the pictures was the second hand was always in a different spot, so I knew the movement worked. So as bad as this one looks, as far as it got moisture in there, so the dial's a bit corroded. Obviously, this bezel has seen better days. This watch is beat up, you know. It's unfortunate, too, because the orange dial is far more rare and more legible. It's more of a pro diver sort of thing. So it's unfortunate that this one is in that kind of condition. But we took the movement out of that. We put it in this. So again, for $100 or less, I ended up with a pretty nice watch here that I could pass on to somebody else. I could sell this, whatever. That was my first time experimenting with buying a crappy, or not crappy, but a beat up version to make a better looking version work again. And that's basically what I want to do here for Chad. Whoopsie. These are shock resistant, don't worry about it. It's the reason why I wear man watches, like tool watches, because I beat them up. And you can tell what Chad has done to this one. Anyhow, I'm putting this out there, not done yet, because this is going to be part one. Part one of the vintage Citizen Promaster Quartz, resurrection. And I'm putting this out there in hopes that I get some pertinent, good advice from others on what I'm talking about, as well as sending this off to Chad to give you a you know, give Chad a say in this, what he would like me to do with this. I also think what probably wouldn't be a bad idea, really, because this doesn't matter so much, the thickness of this, would be to basically take the dial and the handset out of this watch, out of this case, put the new movement in it, and then put that in this case with the bezel. It's essentially the exact same case. It is the same case. Again, the only difference is the thickness of the crystal, which doesn't matter. And this would be far more legible, and it would look awesome because, in my opinion, this dial is way better. You could tell, too, that the hands and the indices, this whole dial in this looks practically mint to me. I know it's hard to see through the scratches compared to this one. So putting this dial with a working movement in this case, with this crystal, with the bezel on it, would be the right thing to do. That's just my opinion, but I want to give Chad a say in this, and I'm sure that a lot of you people agree. So Chad, come back often and read the comments here, although I don't expect this video to get a whole bunch of views. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think. Have a great day. Be kind to one another. I'll catch you all in the next one.